I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good afternoon, Alan Page. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful afternoon?
I'm doing great, even though it's a little cold and rainy here in Seattle.
I always have an offer. Anyone that comes on the podcast, if you want, I can email some Caribbean sunshine to you for what it's worth.
I'll take all you can spare.
Love it. Well, Alan, please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us meeting.
I'm not sure. It could be any one of many things.
Yeah.
I'm a lifelong learner, a lover of learning. One of the things I've been talking a lot about recently is how a university isn't a vocational school. So let me back up my story here, and
Sure.
I'll make that be why I'm interesting today, or why I want to try and be interesting. There was a lot of fuss in the U.S. over the Equifax security breach, and there was a larger fuss over the fact that the head of security at Equifax was a music major in college, music major in university.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that struck a nerve with me for many reasons. One is I happen to have been a music major in college. I studied music composition. I taught school for 4 years. I went back and got a master's in composition. That was decades ago. And after that time, I found my way into, a bit accidentally, a bit inquisitively, into working with software. And I worked as a software tester and network administrator for a small startup for a few years. I learned a lot. I studied all the time. I found it fascinating. I found computer programming to be very similar to music composition. And I ended up getting a full-time job at Microsoft, being a developer, a manager, and eventually a director at Microsoft for many years. Recently left Microsoft to be the director of quality at a company called Unity that makes game software. And the point is not that music majors make great computer programmers. It's that the things you learn at a university, the things you study, you learn how to learn. And if you want to go study just to get a career, there are vocational schools for that. But the idea is that anyone can do anything if you know how to learn and you understand how to learn. You understand the importance of learning. So that thing kind of put me on a soapbox to realize that it isn't about a university has a ton of value, but the value is at a much higher level than just the classes you take at one point for 4 years.
Well, that's pretty intriguing. Usually the podcast, because in my mind I'm considering it being something that is a timeless element. We usually tie things that are current in, but I like what you've just done there, because it does tie something that is current, but something that goes through the fabrics of time, right? In terms of what truly should be valued, what should not. Who did you learn that skill from? The skill of valuing. You opened this.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think when I think of learning, there are things that I remember learning, and then there are also times when I discover that I've already learned something. And for me, this really came the latter. It was one of my graduate school professors he somehow taught me to love learning and to value learning. But it kind of opened up, the reason I put it that way, it opened up things that I knew already existed in hindsight. It's a little bit of a almost deja vu, where the learning wasn't new. It's like, oh, I've known this all along. I've just never internalized it or really known it until now. So I give a ton of credit to this is the professor who taught me methods of musical research during graduate school. But I think about that class a lot, not the class a lot. I think about the professor a lot, and he somehow, without intentionally doing it, just the connection was there where it just opened me up to be a lot of who I am today.
Yeah, it's fascinating. My wife encountered one of her teachers yesterday. She's on a 90-day goal while we're speaking to write a poem a day. I think she's about day 43 or something, right? But she was talking to me, and she reads the poem before she goes and does a live, right? And to see the emotion, like when she was reading it, when she reached the end, she teared up, right? She went into tears, and it shows. And I said all of that to say, truly, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. So why will you continue to repeat this skill? I mean, there are the challenges. Sometimes it takes you being the voice, right, to speak for or against. Well, why will you continue to repeat the skill of value?
I think to me, it's been the key to my success. And now leading a large team, it's been the key to giving this team of people from around the world and diverse backgrounds and ages and everything uh, a way to grow themselves. I have this management philosophy of my relationship with every single person that works for me is sort of alliance where my job is to make them successful, every single one of them, and by them being successful, then I'm successful. And the best way I know to get us both on that journey together is to have this valued uh, both love of learning, but a necessity of learning. It's this learning philosophy and this learning organization. It's like food and water.
Hmm.
The way you can be successful and continue to be successful in what we call knowledge work, because work where it's not labor, it's brain engaged work, is you have to realize that learning is so important and so much a part of the process. So I really push that a lot.
Hmm.
And that's kind of how I keep the legacy going. And I'm 51 years old, and there are so many things I don't know very much about, and I'm definitely at that phase where the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. So I'm always constantly trying to discover new information and
Hmm.
make things that I don't know things that I know, or at least know that I don't know them. And I just try and convey that spirit to people I work with, people I know. I speak a lot at conferences and the different people, and I talk about knowledge acquisition and how we learn. I am on the alumni board for my university now for the School of Arts and Humanities,
Hmm.
talking to them about how do you take these skills, which aren't vocational skills, but what are ways we can talk to students about how to apply this learning to a variety of different things they want to do in life, whether they're careers or hobbies or passions.
We didn't even talk about the A/B testing podcast as well, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that exists as well. I do have my own podcast called A/B Testing, and with a friend of mine, Brent Jensen. The A is A for Alan and B for Brent, and it's really a talk about software engineering. Brent and I both came from software testing backgrounds. Both are much more into the processes in which one makes quality software, or which a team makes quality software, and we have a good rapport. We just this morning recorded our 69th episode,
Whoop, whoop.
and
Congratulations.
thank you. Not nowhere caught up to you and your thousands,
It's different, yeah.
but it's been a lot of fun. In fact, that came out of Brent and I used to have these animated and really good conversations years and years ago. We both worked at Microsoft, and somebody said, this guy named Michael Hunter said, "You guys are hilarious. You should just record this as a podcast." I
Wow.
said, "Ha ha, yeah, for sure, for sure." And then we started doing it, and then we did more and more, and we just couldn't stop.
That's great. That's great. I love
Uh,
it. Amazing audience. We are live with Alan Page. He is the co-host of AB Testing Podcast. Do check him out. Alan, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Alan, what is your earliest childhood memory?
uh, I grew up in Spokane, Washington, and for some reason, I remember playing hide and seek outside of it. We lived in this white house. And it's weird. My memory is in black and white, but I know the house was white. And I remember playing hide and seek and hiding in the yard. But it's just very, very splotchy little bits of it. It's weird. But the one funny story that comes from that was that my family always called it. We moved to Seattle when I was 3, but my family always referred to this house as the White House. And it wasn't until I was about 5 till I realized that the White House I lived in and the White House the president lives in were different houses.
Love it, love it. How old do you think you were at
I
that point?
was probably just coming up on 3 years old because
Wow.
we moved when I was 3, and I do have these splotchy memories of the house that I've confirmed to be accurate. So I was just short of 3 years old.
So when the memory did understanding that the White House is where the president lived, where did those two things cross paths?
I think it was just me assuming that the White House was, now we moved out because the president moved in. I had no idea of geography.
Wow.
And and I just brought it up casually in conversation with my mom when I was like 5. And it's like, so somebody brought up the White House. I said, oh, it's cool, the president's there, or something like it's going to be on TV or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
and I got this just strange look from my brothers and my mom, and I had it explained to me that the president lives in a different White House.
Wow, 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 wow. So why do you think this memory is so clear?
I don't know. It's really the only thing I can remember from being very, very little. It was I really don't have a good answer why that one comes out.
Sure. Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture
Sure,
you created in
absolutely.
my mind? I love the idea that our conversation started somewhat passionately with the idea of values and what they're worth. Understanding that, it's fascinating to see as a young child the thing that held, or let's say holds, because the White House is still there, that holds tremendous value as a standing force, if you would, a representation of what America is and where its president is hosted. It's fascinating that the same type values, you connected that to your home, your household, and the values that were there.
Interesting.
Yeah, values. If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Oh, when I was 12 years old, let me think. I was really into Aerosmith.
Right.
I'm trying to think when I was 12 years old. I think I had my own little all-in-one stereo in my room, and I think I probably played "Walk This Way" by Aerosmith off Toys in the Attic a lot. I don't know if it was my favorite, but it's the first song that pops into mind from when I was 12.
Love it. Well, it's fascinating how these things connect, Walk this way, definitely a value thing, right? Walk this way. Yeah. All right. Well, Alan, we have arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to go pretty quickly here. Alan, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
No.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? More than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
More than 8.
Alan, after having 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, I had to do over my butt. I'm joking. It's a joke. No, I came up with a book called Yours, and it stands for Your Own Unique Real Self. It's a workbook, but connected to that is Your Own Unique Real Statement. If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, your mission, what would that be?
I'm a community builder. I'm a builder of communities who loves learning and sharing new ideas with everyone around me.
Love it. Alan Page, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Just that I love what you're doing, Engel, and I wish you much more success with going forward. And for your listeners, just keep on listening, because I think you're going to find lots of value in what you have to say as well.
Love it. Alan Page, thank you so much for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
I had a great time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.